Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bare Bones Wargaming, a show with no bells, no whistles, no frills, just a man, a camera, and his game. So, just thought I'd give you a little heads up about where I'm at, what I'm doing right now, what I've been up to. Recently, well, not recently, but over the last month and a half at least now, I continue with my fixation on the Pacific Theater of World War II, and as you can see here in front of me, I have all set up Iwo Jima from, let's see here, S&T number 92 from way back in 1983. I have to admit, when I was flipping through this and trying to play this for the first time, this ad caught my eye. I'll show you here, the Dalicon 83. 35 years ago, just in next week? Yeah, 35 years ago. Interesting how much has changed. It's the only place to find out about stuff like that. And now, look, with the internet and everything, it's amazing. So, anyway, this game's been sitting in my collection for a while. I got it last year when I was doing this whole Pacific Theater wave, if you will, no pun intended. Never got around to punching it out, so it had been unpunched for 35 years, basically. And now I finally did punch it this morning. And as you can see, I've got the Japanese in their positions on the island. I've got my Marines landing, first and second wave, getting ready to roll, and we got to get up the beach and stuff. For those of you who've played some of the D-Day games, like D-Day at Tarawa and such, this initially has a feel, except of course the map. The map, I feel like every time I look at this map, I should have the electric prunes in the background. Some of you are not old enough, I'm sure, to know what I'm talking about, but let's just say, when you're done watching this video, go to the search box here on YouTube and type in "I Had Too Much to Dream Last Night" by the Electric Prunes. You'll understand what I'm saying. Like, perfect background music for this. So this is where the game I think I'll be sharing with you next. Again, it's a magazine game that not a whole lot of people know about. Because, I mean, let's face it, Pacific Theater of World War II is not always the first choice of most folks when it comes to interest in studying World War II. I'm hoping sometime in the near future that I'll be able to share with you a video of Cataclysm once I get that under my belt. I just found out today, unfortunately I must be at the end of the shipping batch because they started shipping last Tuesday, and I just found out today that mine is supposed to be being shipped today or first thing tomorrow, so hopefully I'll get it before too long. But in the meantime, I'll deal with this, and then I've also been toying with the idea of, again, some of you may know this game, you may not, the D-Day at Tarawa. There's a whole D-Day series. The D-Day at Iwo Jima, in my understanding, is supposed to be coming out next month, so that'll be kind of cool. It's solitaire. Not only is it solitaire, but just to show you the back there, you can see the cards. It's also diceless. These games have been kind of hit and miss for me. I like Tarawa. I like Operation Jubilee about the deep raid. But I didn't care for D-Day at Omaha, and I don't really care for the other one, Peleliu, I believe is how you pronounce that one. So hopefully Iwo Jima will be a good game too. The other thing I've been doing recently was doing the Plan Orange game that came in C3I number 29, I believe, designed by Mark Herman, who of course did Empire of the Sun. And I played over that. I might need more background knowledge, I feel like, on it before I can really get into it. Or I have noticed when it comes to naval warfare games, I don't play a whole lot of naval warfare games that don't have aircraft carriers involved. I don't know if that's because I've always been fascinated by the carrier wars of the Pacific, but also I have all the fleet games in my collection. For those of you who don't know, the fleet games came out starting in the mid-'80s. And it was basically a game that covered the different areas of the world that the U.S. and the Soviets could have confrontation. So like 6th Fleet covered the Mediterranean, 2nd Fleet covered the North Atlantic, 5th Fleet the Indian Ocean, which one am I forgetting? 7th Fleet was basically Asia Pacific, Japan, and China and all that stuff along the coast. So those ones also have aircraft carriers, and I always enjoyed those games as well too. So I don't know if it's just Age of Battleship stuff doesn't appeal to me as much. We'll see. But one thing I am toying with is kind of taking the idea of the Plan Orange and maybe applying it trying to apply it maybe to Fire in the Sky. I don't know if that would work or not, but I might tinker around with that and see, because I really do enjoy the Fire in the Sky system. And Mark Herman, I have quite a few of his games that I enjoy a lot. The old Peloponnesian War, the newer Pericles. I also have Churchill, just looking over here at my shelf. But Empire of the Sun is always, I don't know, it just never, it hasn't clicked with me. I don't know how else to articulate it. I mean, I have Washington's War. Yep, there it is over there to my right. But, yeah, I'm not sure why. Empire of the Sun just has never really clicked with me real well. So maybe it's the system. But, I mean, that happens. You know, sometimes you just don't get a feel for things. Kind of like, probably a good analogy would be like a chess opening. You know, I used to play, when I used to play competitive chess, I used to play the Leningrad Dutch just because I liked the feel of it. It just appealed to me. You know, the style of it, the aggressiveness of it, the fanchettoing the bishop, you know, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, and it happens. And it's just kind of the way that is. So, I don't want to go on too long here because, you know, not to sound like Dennis Miller, I won't get off on a rant here. But I'm going to go back. I'm reading, speaking of Miller, I'm reading, I forget the guy's first name, but his last name is Miller. He wrote a book all about Plan Orange, published by the Naval Institute Press, that I just started reading today. It seems like very interesting reading. So I might do that and come back to Herman's Plan Orange and give that game a go again. But for right now, my plan at this point is to clunk my way through this, because I haven't even really started the first turn. I just did the preliminaries. I did all my aerial and naval bombardment, and I've got my waves set up, and now comes the hard part, the hard slogging, trying to get my way onto the island and get those airfields under control, among other things. So my plan is to clunk through this over the next couple of days, and then, you know, do a couple of turns like I've been doing with some of the other games, just to give you a feel of how the game works. And then we'll see where we're at that point. But I do hope to do a video on Cataclysm at some point, because that game seems, it's very cool. I like Triumph and Tragedy, but Cataclysm seems even cooler, because when I read the one comment on Board Game Geek from one of the designers, Scott Muldoon, about how they had one game that, you know, the war began in the Balkans when the Italians and the Soviets collided. To me, that's just so cool, because I love sandbox stuff. I love what if stuff. That's why I play these games. I don't play them necessarily to recreate what happened. I play them more to literally play with history. You know, it's kind of like taking, you know, science class. You know, in your high school and college and stuff. You have your, you know, your lecture part of it, and then you have your lab. And this, to me, war games are like the lab part of a history class. So anyway, so Iwo Jima with this nice little psychedelic map here, very 80s-ish. Those of you who played victory games, you know the color scheme with that. And actually, I enjoy those color schemes, so this doesn't bother me as much as it might bother some other people. Although the map that takes the cake, and if you've never seen this map, you can look up images of it, like on Board Game Geek, for Bar-Lev, the original Bar-Lev that came out in the early 70s. Woo! Yeah, just my advice: before you blow the picture up and like click on it, put on a pair of sunglasses. You will need them. So I'll hit the beaches here at Iwo Jima with the Marines, and again, once I clunk through this and get a better handle on the game system, it doesn't seem overly complicated, then I'll come back with another video, you know, doing some turns here and there, maybe a couple initial turns, and as I get deeper into the game, do some more turns so you can see how everything works, and again, see if you might want to pick this up at some point. So, this is Tim Korchnoi from Bare Bones Wargaming, saying thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time after I get this Iwo Jima clunked through and get a better grip on it so I can share it with you. See you then.